I'm Kendall with Islamic Creations, and today we're going to be making this adorable little ice cream cone. This pattern is beginner friendly, so I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about crochet from the very beginning. This is a perfect first project. For your supplies, you're going to need medium weight 4 yarn in pink, tan, and then a dark brown for the sprinkles, and a little bit of black for the smile, as well as 10mm safety eyes and backs, a tapestry needle, stitch marker, scissors, and stuffing, plus a 5mm crochet hook. At the beginning of this video, you're going to see me talk about the magic ring, which is how we're going to start our crochet piece. I'm going to be showing it in white yarn. It is from my other video for this little ghost. So if I talk about ghost and I'm using white yarn, don't worry, it's the same system. I just liked how I explained it really well in that video. So I thought, why repeat myself and make a mistake when I could just use the same footage. So if you hear me talking about a ghost and using white yarn, it's all good. Once I'm past that point, I'll jump back into the specific colors so you can work with it with me. All right, we'll hop right in. Hello. I'm Kendall with Islamic Creations, and today we're going to be making this adorable little ghost. If you're coming from one of my beginner crochet kits, you get to make 2 ghosts, and they're little duos, and they're best friends, and they're super cute. Your kit comes with everything you need. And if you add it on a crochet hook, perfect. If not, you're going to need a 5mm crochet hook. The supplies you're going to need is medium weight 4 yarn in white, orange, and black, 8mm safety eyes and backs, stuffing, stitch markers, a tapestry needle, and scissors. This tutorial is completely beginner friendly. I'm teaching you how to crochet your very first piece. So if you have any questions, drop them down below or reach out to me over email or through my website or anything. Just don't reach out over social media. I don't generally get those messages. Listed down below, I have the crochet kit and the pattern, and let's hop right into the video. So to start our ghost, to do the very top, we're gonna do something called a magic ring or a magic circle. And then I'm gonna show you an alternative in case that method's a little tricky. I pulled out my yarn, I'm pulling from the middle, and I'm gonna call this my tail. And this is the end, that's finished. There's no more yarn attached to where the end is. I'm gonna place it in my hand, and I'm gonna wrap around to form an X over my hand, over my palm. I'm gonna hold in the middle so it doesn't come undone. I'm gonna take my hook, and there's a couple different ways to hold your hook. You can hold it like a pencil, or like a knife, or any variation. I prefer a knife. It's exactly like you would use a utensil, and that's just what I'm comfortable with. I'm gonna go under and then over. And I'm gonna pull this yarn through. I'm kind of twisting my hook up because then I'm gonna shimmy this off my hand. This is the yarn that's attached to the ball. So I'm gonna take it, and I'm being gentle because I don't want this to completely come undone. And I'm gonna pull that yarn, the working yarn, which is attached to the ball. I'm gonna tighten it so this is a little snug. I'm pinching so it doesn't come undone. And we're gonna do something called a yarn over. A yarn over, I'm gonna place the yarn on top of the hook and pull through. And that's called a chain. And this is our magic circle. Let me show that one more time. Have my tail. I'm gonna wrap around my hand and hold it in the middle. I'm gonna go under and then over and pull this arm through. Just like that. And then I twisted my hook up. Shimmy off my hand, pinch, tighten, and then I'm gonna switch it to my other hand. To do our chain, this is the yarn over, and then pull through. We're now gonna make our actual stitches, which we're gonna call single crochets. And that's just one of the many stitches in crochet. So I'm gonna insert my hook through our circle. Oops. I'm gonna insert my hook through the circle. This is the tail. And I'm going under both. And then I'm gonna make my single crochet. which is our yarn over. And I'm going to pull it underneath. Oops, I missed. So my hook's under, yarn over, pull through. So I have 2 loops on my hook. I'm tightening a little bit with my working yarn. Gonna yarn over again and pull through. And that's 1 single crochet. For the first round, we have to make 6. So that was 1. Again, I'm gonna insert my hook, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over, pull through both. So you have 2. This will be our 3rd. And our 4th. Five. And 6. Now, this is a super fun part about the magic ring. I'm going to pinch up top by my hook, and then I'm going to pull the tail. And now, it's actually a circle, or our first round. I want to show you another method in case the magic ring's causing a little bit of issues. So I'm going to take this out just by pulling it. I'm going to make a slip knot. So I have my tail over here. I'm going to take it, twist, and pull through. I'm going to insert my hook and then tighten. You don't want it too tight that you can't move it, but you don't want it too loose that it falls off. So just like a little snug. We're going to do 2 chains, which is our yarn over, pull through, and then our yarn over, pull through. This was chain number 2, and this was chain number 1, right by our slip knot. I'm going to insert my hook. I'm going to tell you it doesn't matter if you go under 2 or under 1, just put your hook in there. And we're going to make the 6 single crochets in there. So yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. So that was 1. I'm going to insert into the same hole, the same chain. And I'm going to make all 6 of my single crochets. That's 3, 4, 5, and 6. This method you might have a little bit of a hole. That's okay. You can take your tail and that little needle in your kit and you can sew it closed if you need to. I'm going to take this out and I'm going to do the magic ring just because I don't want to sew this at the end and it's a little easier for me. And then we'll move on to round 2. So we just finished round 1, and to mark that we're at the end of round 1, I'm going to take my stitch marker, which is that little safety pin, clothespin, safety pin, little looking doodad. So I know it's a little hard to see with the white yarn. I'm going to place it in my last stitch that I made. Each stitch is that little V, so I'm going to insert into the V and close it up. Now I know where my next round starts and the last round ended. So I'm going to pull some more yarn so I have some stuff to work with. I like to move my tail out of the way because you don't want to crochet with that because then you're going to not have enough yarn. You want to use the yarn attached to the ball. So I'm going to work in a spiral. So I'm going to insert my hook into the next stitch. For round 2, we're going to do 6 increases. And an increase is just 2 single crochets next to each other. So I'm going to insert my hook. I'm going under both of those lines. And now we're going to make 1 single crochet. Our yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through both loops. To do an increase, because that was just one, we have to make our second single crochet. So I'm going to insert into the same stitch and make a second. So there's one and there's two, and they're right next to each other. So I'm going to turn my piece a little bit, and into the next stitch I'm going to do the exact same thing. So one, and then two. At the end of round one, we had 6 stitches. At the end of round 2, you'll have 12. So you're placing 2 in every stitch. So I'm going to do it again. 1, and then 2. Moving around. And then again. And I just did it 5 times, but I have to do it 6 times. So this was my last stitch. I marked with my stitch marker. So I'm going to take them out, do our increase of the 2 single crochets, and then I'm going to place my stitch marker back in that last stitch that I just made, because we're going to move up around. So this will mark the end of round 2. And our circle's a little bigger. For round 3, if you're looking at the pattern, you're going to see brackets. You're going to see a single crochet, comma, and then an increase. And we're going to repeat that whole sequence in the brackets throughout this round. So first we have to do a single crochet. So in the next stitch, we're going to place 1 single crochet. Done. And then into the next one, not the same, you want to move to the next stitch. That comma in the brackets means we're moving over. And do our increase, which we know is just 2 single crochets. But they have to be next to each other. They have to be in the same stitch. So the sequence in the brackets is 3 stitches, 1 and then an increase. So we're going to repeat that again. 1, and then moving over, an increase. And we're going to repeat that for the rest of the round. So 1, then an increase, 1, and an increase, 1, increase, 1. I'm going to take out my stitch marker, and then an increase. And then I'm going to place my stitch marker back in so I don't lose track. For the next round, it's going to be a little similar. It says 2 single crochets and then an increase. 2 single crochets is different than an increase because the 2 are going to be across 2 different stitches. So we're going to do 1, move over to the next one, do another one, so they're in 2 different, and then an increase. So this is sequence with 4 stitches. 1, 2, and then an increase. We'll do that for the round. So 1, 2, and then an increase. 1, 2, increase. 1, 2, increase. 1, 2, increase, 1, 2, take out the stitch marker, and increase. Put the stitch marker back in. Switching over to yellow, so I'm done with the beginning portion that was in white. I'm doing yellow for this example because I thought it'd just be fun, look like a lemon sherbet or something. We just finished round 4, which was single crochet 2 and then an increase. For round 5, we're going to do single crochet 3 and then an increase. So we're going to do 1, 2, then 3, and then an increase in the next stitch. So again, 1, 2, 3, and then an increase. And you'll complete this for the round. For the next 6 rounds, rounds 6 through 11, we're going to be placing 1 single crochet in every stitch. So there's no increases. So we're just going to do 1, and then the next stitch, do another 1. And you'll just do this for a round and around. 1 stitch into every stitch. So you're keeping the same stitch count. After you finish round 6, you'll move up your stitch marker, and you'll do that for a total of 6 rounds. I'm going to hop off camera to do this, and then we'll come back together for round 12. At the end of round 11, it's starting to look more like ice cream. For round 12, we're going to learn how to do a half double crochet, a slip stitch, and work in the front loop only. Normally when we make our stitches, we go through both of these loops, 1, 2. But now we're just going to be going through this front loop. We're going to repeat our sequence in the brackets around this whole round, but just in the front loop. So it says 4 half double crochets. To do a half double crochet, you yarn over. We're going to insert into the front loop, yarn over, pull through 1 loop, so you have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. We're going to make a total of 4 half double crochets, all in the same stitch. So yarn over, insert in the same, yarn over, pull through, so you have 3, yarn over, pull through all 3. That was 2, so this is 3. If you have a hard time pulling through all 3, make sure you're turning your hook down to slide through. That was 3, so this is 4. Then it says we're going to skip 1 stitch and do a slip stitch. So we're still working the front loop. This is our next stitch, so we're going to skip it. And then the front loop will do a slip stitch. To do that, you're going to insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, and then pull through again. So this one's smaller than a single crochet. And then we're going to skip 1 stitch again and repeat. So I'm going to skip 1 and do our 4 half double crochets. Our 3 loops, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Skip 1 and then a slip stitch. putting in our hook, yarn over, pull through, and pull through again, and then skip one. And we'll repeat again. So skipping one, and then 4 half double crochets, 2, 3, 4. Skip one, slip stitch. You're going to repeat this for the whole round until you get to the very end. At the end, your sequence might be like uneven because you might have 2 more stitches. You're going to do a slip stitch in the last 2. So let me work around and we'll catch up to the end. All right, I'm almost to the end. So this was my last slip stitch, so then we're skipping one. So we have 2 stitches left. I'm going to take out my stitch marker and I'm going to do a slip stitch in those last 2. So this is the one I'm skipping, and then we do a slip, and then a slip into the next one as well. We're then going to fasten off. So I'm going to leave a tail. I like mine kind of long so I can use it for sewing. Cut your yarn, and then pull through. And now your piece can't come undone. And we finish the top of our ice cream. To do our ice cream cone, we're going to start with our magic ring again. I'm not going to go as slow as I did in the beginning, so please pause this video and then go back to the beginning if you need to see the magic ring again. So I'm going to make my X in my hand with my tan yarn for the cone, hold in the middle, under, over scoop, and then chain 1. You're gonna see my cat pop in for a moment. Thank you, Peanut. And then we'll place 6 single crochets inside our loop. And then I get to pull it. So we have our circle. So for the next 2 rounds, we're gonna place 1 single crochet in every stitch. It could be a little hard because this is so small, so I'm not gonna use a stitch marker, but I'm gonna keep track of 6 in my head, just because I don't want the stitch marker getting in the way. So we'll do 1 single crochet, 1, moving on, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm going to push it out so my middle tail is on the inside. Then we're going to do that again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, and 6. Cool. Now I'm going to put my stitch marker in. Round 4, we're going to do 6 increases. Increases 2 single crochets in 1. So I'm going to do 1 stitch, and then into the same hole, I'm going to do a second. And I'm going to do that for the round, so that our 6 stitches become 12. If your middle tail is starting to get in the way like mine is, you can trim it. Don't trim it too close because you don't want it to come undone. But that will help. Then I can shove this little tail on the inside. We don't have to worry about it. I'm trying to keep track of where I am. There we go. Remove my stitch marker. Do my last increase. See, now you're starting to see it's already looking like a little mini cone. Next 2 rounds, you're going to place 1 single crochet in every stitch. So no increases or anything, just 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. All the way around, twice. Since I know that you know how to do single crochet rounds, I'm going to hop off, but do 2 rounds of 12 stitches. For the next round, we're going to do 1 single crochet and then an increase. So here's 1 single crochet, and then the next stitch an increase. And you'll repeat this for the round. So 1, and then an increase. Next 2 rounds, you might have guessed it, we're going to do 1 single crochet into every stitch for a total of 2 rounds. For the next round, we're going to do 2 single crochets and then an increase. So 1, and then 2, and then our increase. And you'll repeat this for the round. Instead of single crocheting in the next 2 rounds, we're actually going to do it for the next 4. So place 1 single crochet in every single stitch for a total of 4 rounds. Now at the end of my cone, I'm going to leave a long tail for sewing, cut, and fasten off. And now we finished our cone. To start our assembly, I'm going to start back with our ice cream cone, and we're going to add our eyes. I like to place my eyes in first before I put the backs on or anything, just so I can see what I'm looking at. Okay, and then I have a piece of black yarn I'm going to put in my tapestry needle, my yarn needle, whatever you want to call it. And then starting from the back, I'm going to poke through where I want 1 corner of the mouth to be. Now pull through, so there's a few inches in the back so it doesn't come undone. I'm going to move over about 2 stitches, create a straight line. And then I'm going to go underneath 1 row, so it's the bottom arc of the smile. Then I get to scoop down our straight line and add this little anchor point. So we have this super cute smile. But see, that's why I placed the eyes first, and I'm like, ooh, those are not even. How can we make this cuter? Let's move over this eye. Let me pull out the original. Maybe I could try a little further apart. Eyes are weird, it takes a minute. Oh yeah, that's it. Okay. I'm gonna place on my backs, which are these little plasticky parts. On the back, you should put your washer on like this, so it's gonna be flush with your piece, and then push hard. Ugh. Sometimes it takes a moment. If for whatever reason you can't get the eye on, it is okay to put these on backwards, like this. Just bear in mind this does not make it as secure. I've never had a problem with it personally, but safety eyes should not be used for children under the age of 3, so just keep that in mind. It is possible for them to come out, but it's unlikely. Ooh, that was a good sound. Cutie. With our smile, take out my tapestry needle. I'm going to add a square knot. Don't pull too tight, you don't want to mess up your smile. And then I'll trim it so it's out of the way. And this was the top middle part of the ice cream. Oh, let's move that out of the way. He's looking silly. I'm gonna do my sprinkles in orange just because that is what I have in terms of yarn sitting right next to me. So I'm gonna cut off a piece and I'll put on my tapestry needle. And then starting on the inside, we're gonna embroider some sprinkles. You can poke out anywhere, leave a few inches on the back, then you decide how long or big you want your sprinkles. I like doing about 2 stitches. And then you can put them all around the top, wherever you seem fit. There's no science to this. It is really wherever you want sprinkles to be. It takes a little bit playing around with. You know, make sure your sprinkles are going in different directions and everything good. When you're finished with your sprinkles, make sure you finish off on the inside. And then I'm going to tie these together. Again, do not pull too tight, but you want to make sure your piece doesn't come undone. So you can see there's plenty of room to wiggle, but now it's not going to slip off. Now we have all the details, but we have to sew it to our cone. So I'm going to pull my cone back. I'm going to put the cone tail on my tapestry needle. And we're going to sew it to right above the ruffles or the scallops, whatever you want to call them. You know how we only use the front loop? These are technically the back loops that we left. So now we get to sew it to those back loops. It'll make it easy peasy for us. So I'm going to hold my cone and my ice cream, and I'm going to stitch through that back loop and through the cone. There's about 500 different ways to sew pieces on. I'm here to tell you it really doesn't matter as long as it stays together. Especially because the way this pattern is set up, you're not going to see where this is because the scallops kind of like come down. So like, don't be afraid. If it's a little messy, it's totally good. One thing I do want to note here is that when we finished our cone, we only went to 2 single crochets and then an increase. When our ice cream, we went to 3 single crochets and then an increase. Obviously this isn't an issue, but when you're sewing, it's not going to be 1 for 1. So it's not going to be 1 back bar, 1 back loop to 1 stitch on the ice cream cone. It's going to be uneven. So let's keep that in mind as you're working around. You'll have to put 2 into 1, that sort of thing. I'm going to sew 3/4 of the way around, and then we'll talk about stuffing. I'm about 3/4 of the way around, not exactly. I want to grab my stuffing. Whoa. You do not just want to shove this whole thing in. You want to pull it apart into small clumps and place it individually. And for our ice cream cone, you'll have to place some in the bottom and the top portion of the ice cream. So I'm just separating it into small clumps and placing it where I want. This will give us a nice full look and doesn't use as much stuffing, which is really nice. I want to make sure the bottom of my cone is pointy, so I'm going to add a little bit of extra stuffing down there. And I want to finish off my cone. Yeah, there we go. A little bit more. Hi, there's my second cat. He's helping me do all the stuffing. Hi, Cashew. He says, "Why isn't this about me?" And then if you hear Peanut, she's upset it's not about her too. But we're almost done. Then they'll get all the cuddles in the world. I want to add a little bit more to the top. Yeah, I think that's looking pretty good. I like that. You don't generally want to overstuff unless you really want that like bursting look. I personally don't enjoy it, but it's your ice cream. You do what you want. I'm going to finish sewing all the way around, and then I'll show you how to hide your yarn tails. So I'm at the very end, and you don't just want to cut off your yarn because obviously it will come apart. So what you actually want to do is poke it through as close as you can to like where it's coming out now. So I poke it right next to it. And then I'm going to stick it anywhere that's tan. And then I'm going to cut the yarn. I'm kind of rubbing it to make sure it goes back in. We'll repeat the same thing with the yellow. So I'm going to put the tail on my needle. I want to get close to where I am right now. I'm going to add extra stitch just so it's a little little rounder. There's no science behind it. And then stick it into the yellow and poke out anywhere that's yellow. And then you can trim. And now we have our ice cream. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you loved making this adorable beginner-friendly ice cream cone in crochet. If you did enjoy it, please like this video and subscribe. It really helps me grow the channel so that I can continue to make more videos for you. You should also stay up to date with me on TikTok if you want to hear about new releases, new kits, new patterns, and everything that goes on behind the scenes of my business. Thanks so much for watching. Again, my name is Kendall, and I'll see you in the next video.